My name is Jeremy Boyer, and I'm the organist for the St. Louis Blues. I play the organ for the St. Louis Cardinals, and I'm also the director of music and organist at St. Francis of Assisi in Oakville. I think my earliest memory of playing music was when I was about 12 years old. I was already in band in school, and came home. My mom had an organ at the house, and I decided to start kind of applying what I learned in music at school to the organ and started teaching myself how to play. So that was kind of my earliest memory of sitting down at the keyboard and trying to figure out how to play some stuff and learn how to play the organ. So growing up as a kid, you know, in St. Louis, Ernie Hayes was the man, of course. He was the guy playing the organ for the Blues and the Cardinals at the time, and you know, sitting around the house, I'd always try to mimic what Ernie was playing on the radio or on TV, sitting down at the keyboard and figuring out what was he playing and how he played it. One day I got lucky enough to get to take lessons with Ernie at his home in his studio, and there I really fine-tuned my craft a little bit and got to know Ernie really well, which was a joy for me, and become a better musician and a better organist, and of course learn what it takes to become a sports organist too. I studied music at Southeast Missouri State in Cape Girardeau. I graduated there in 2004 with my Bachelor of Music Education degree. I played for baseball and basketball, and a classmate of mine ended up being an intern for the Memphis Redbirds, the Cardinals AAA team, and they needed an organist, and she's like, hey, I know somebody. So they gave me a call. They're like, hey, could you come down and give us a shot? And I'm like, yeah. So I went down and started playing in Memphis for the Redbirds, and before long the Blues had called me and asked if I'd be interested in coming up and auditioning for them, and I auditioned for them, and it all worked out, and I've been playing there for ever since, about 17 seasons. 2 or 3 years later, the Cardinals asked me to come help out with games over there, and came over to help out Dwayne Hilton, who also plays at Busch Stadium, and plays some games at Busch Stadium as well. I don't really get nervous playing anymore. It's, you know, something I've done for so long now that I'm used to the situation, and you know, I'm just focused on what I'm doing, and I just play and it all comes out, and I don't really get nervous too much about it anymore. My first year or two, maybe there were spots where maybe I got a little bit nervous, but you know, as I've grown into the role, I've kind of lost those nerves or shaken them off. I think my favorite part about being an organist for a sports team is sharing what I love to do with the fans, both through my music and getting to share my music with the fans, but also the interactions with the fans where they get to come up and see the organ. You know, at Blues games, I'm out in the crowd. You know, there's lots of kids who come up and they're just big-eyed and got big smiles on their faces, and I love to share that with them. I have them sit on the organ bench. I have them touch the keys a whole bit, because that might be what inspires them to one day play the organ. And you know, I love to share that with them. That makes it all worth it to me.